This video is very kindly sponsored by DistroKid. I'll be talking about them more later in the video. Hello, welcome to this video. My name's Dan, aka Lucent. I'm a music producer and songwriter, and today I'm going to be revisiting Chemtrails Over the Country Club by Lana Del Rey. So let's go. Yes, so it's been an entire year since Lana Del Rey released Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And if you remember that reaction from me, or have since seen it, that was actually my first Lana Del Rey experience. I kind of saw like this new album coming out and I thought this is a good opportunity to jump into Lana on the channel. And since then, I've gone back and discovered every single one of her albums. And with each one, I've fallen in love with her more and more and more. And so after doing NFR and just being completely blown away, I thought, you know what, I think I should return to Chemtrails and kind of see how my opinions changed and like what my kind of attitude towards each of the songs is now that I know a bit more of her backstory. So an interesting video today, a little bit different, but I hope you enjoy it. If you're new here, then make sure to subscribe to the channel and also make sure to like this video if you like it too, because it really helps it in the algorithm. So today the video has been sponsored by DistroKid, and today I'm going to talk about their feature Hyperfollow. As a music distribution service, DistroKid distributes your music to all of the big streaming platforms, and you actually get access to this thing called Hyperfollow, which is like a landing page for each of your releases. When you put the release out, it will list all of the places in which it's streaming. Now this is really good because you can then share this one link and people can go directly to the place where they already stream their music and stream your music there too, and maybe add it to their daily playlists and stuff. And basically it's a really, really good feature to kind of capture all of your kind of potential streams. Your Hyperfollow page actually automatically updates as soon as your release goes live, so it's one link that you can share before and after release, but you can also edit your Hyperfollow page, so you can include links to Bandcamp or other kinds of videos or your social media profiles, so it can kind of be a one-stop shop. If you want to sign up for DistroKid, you can get 7% off using my VIP link, which is in the description, and you will get, yes, 7% off your first year. Yeah, let's do it. Hope is a dangerous thing. Chemtrails over the country club. Okay, cool. Right, song number 1. This is White Dress. The piano's so intricate in this one. I haven't listened to this in ages. I love how breathless this one is, actually. The dynamics start pushing in this section, don't they? But still quite subtle. Reminds me of Mariner's apartment complex, doesn't it? I felt seen. This one does jump into the past a little bit more. I love how, like, actually the second verse is totally different melody and everything, isn't it? This is such a good song. Business conference. It's steeped in this kind of nostalgia. And I think thinking about past summers really has that feeling of heightened nostalgia to it, doesn't it? Look how I got here, yeah. How far we've come, you know? Oof. This refrain is like so high in her voice that she's breathless the whole time. But then like towards the end, she just drops it down and it becomes a bit more, you know, this feeling. There's a real subtlety to that song, isn't there? You know, in the way that it like jumps between her looking back at how great it was and kind of reflecting on how far she's come, but then actually in that ending bit she does then kind of turn around slightly and kind of think, maybe I was better off then, who knows, who's to say. I think that's kind of the thing about Lana's music, is that like there's so much kind of subtlety to the lyric. Like no song is no one thing, and that one really is complex. And I just absolutely love the phrasing of it melodically, and I love like where her voice goes with it. It's very unique in the way that it starts really breathless and high and goes down. You know, that's very atypical. In terms of my relation to it now, like I do kind of think that when I first heard it, I was like, this is interesting. I really enjoyed the song, but like now I feel like I'm kind of a little bit more used to her style. I really appreciate it for kind of actually striking a good balance between, you know, more repetitive phrasing, which is kind of something that's a little more poppy, and her slightly more open-ended songwriting tendencies that were kind of more prevalent in like the kind of ultraviolence honeymoon days. Yeah, I think that's why for me White Dress is like such a good song. I didn't used to look at the lyrics when I did my reactions, so actually this is something that's changed since the first one. It's actually looking at the lyrics. So sun stare, don't care, with my head in my hands thinking of a simpler time. Yeah, it's nostalgia. She's looking back at the summers when she was young. As an opening for Chemtrails is very interesting because it throws it back. Like, I don't think any of her albums really specifically reference like the early days in such a nostalgic way. So I think it does kind of frame what the album is. Because obviously NFR, it all kind of comes together and she writes the kind of epic love album, and it's kind of difficult, you know, where do you go after that? And I think that going somewhere that's kind of more reflective in terms of her own journey maybe is a natural progression there. Let's go to the next song. This is Chemtrails Over the Country Club, the title track.
I'm on the run with you, my sweet love, over the country club.
I love that phrasing, under the chemtrails over the country club.
You won't play, you're no fun.
It's kind of childlike, isn't it?
I'm not unhinged or unhappy.
Yeah, reflecting her own personality. Oh, I love that violin. I don't remember that violin being there.
Just playing it cool.
Yeah, she's reflecting on her childhood, I think. I don't know what the chemtrails actually are.
I'm still so strange and wild.
I'm still strange and wild, even though I've grown up, I'm still that person. White picket chemtrails over the country club. Maybe she's assessing like why she has such a romanticised view of the world, and looking back at her childhood, being taken to the country club and idolising that experience, you know. I love how she does like dynamic builds but doesn't over egg the dynamics, you know. Still soft brushes and stuff, but there's still an urgency to it. It's very like subtly produced, you know. Jack Antonoff, he's a good collaborator. Jeez, that's actually so good. Yeah, so this continues the story of this nostalgia, doesn't it? But this time she's looking back at her childhood, like even younger than when she was 19. It sounds as if she was maybe taken to the country club by her parents or something, because it's like hanging out by the pool with her sister, you know. And I think she's kind of maybe reflecting on how her image of the world was formatively developed in these moments when she was a child. I think this is something that's kind of really interesting listening back to HD, is that like I don't think I really appreciated these songs initially. I think because I was still kind of taking in Lana, and like I didn't really know what her thing was. I think I found them a bit slow and a bit like, okay, I was still kind of reacting to the fact that this was the kind of music that I hadn't really heard before. I think that's beautiful. I think that's so lovely in terms of the pantheon of Lana songs, like, and how at this point she can still write stuff like that is like really, really, really cool. It's beautiful how this deep normality settles down over me. I'm not bored or unhappy. I'm still so strange and wild. It's like she's managed to settle down without letting go of who she is. When you look at like where she's come from, she went through quite a journey of like self-discovery. So much of it was up and down, wild, dramatic, and through like Honeymoon and Lust for Life, she really kind of managed to find a kind of sense of happiness and self-awareness. And then I think at that point, then she was able to really assess her love life and do NFR. And now she's post that, it's now just kind of quiet contemplation of how she's managed to settle. And the feeling that is like drenched over this album is just so, it's this sense of like normality, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what I'm getting at? Subtle, intricate kind of feeling. This month, brand new for me, I have launched a Patreon. If you haven't heard of it, it's a website that offers like a monthly subscription where you can pledge a certain amount a month to a creator of your choice. And in return, you get exclusive content depending on which tier you're part of. And this is something that I've decided to launch. You can find the link for my Patreon in the description. So you could watch this video, you can watch it without any ads. And also you'll be able to watch the uncut edit of this video this coming Tuesday, where I do absolutely no edits and you can see my full reaction to every song in real time. And also the uncut version of my NFR reaction is also up on my Patreon right now. It's currently available on the first tier for March only. Link is in the description for my Patreon. Okay, let's go on to the next song. This is song number 3. This is Tulsa, Jesus Freak. Sing me like a Bible hymn. On the second floor, darling. Interesting hearing like her doing an auto-tune production song, isn't it? I'm not actually sure what this one was about originally, and I'm not particularly clear still. White Hot Forever. I love the feeling of this one. It's very kind of like textural, isn't it, this song? I think this one is maybe assessing her, like a relationship again. Maybe it's her relationship to God. Yeah, maybe it's like a kind of assessment of like the kind of relationship of like right-wing America and like religion and alcohol and stuff. Like, you should still real close to Jesus, keep that bottle at your hand, my man. Find your way back to my bed again, sing me like a Bible hymn. I'm not 100% sure, but I think maybe it is this idea of right-wing America and her assessment of that, because there's a lot of references to kind of God, like the South, you know, Arkansas, like being on the ranch, being in the countryside, but also this like specific relation to religion and alcoholism. I can't remember what you guys actually said about it back in the day, but yeah, make sure to let me know what your like opinions on that song are and what they might mean. Let's go on to the next one. That's song number 4, Let Me Love You Like a Woman. I remember this one. I listened to this one a lot actually. I come from a small town, how about you? This is a bit more traditional Lana actually, isn't it? Ready to leave LA. And I want you to come. This is like the escape from LA element of the album, isn't it? Returning to a simpler form of life. Let me love you like a woman. Let me hold you like a baby. Don't make me be bittersweet. Yeah. It's about freedom of being who she wants to be. Furthering the storyline of like her finding who she is and being able to be confident in that I think follows on from like, hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me to have, you know? Want and need. I mentioned that in the last reaction. I noticed that saying need and want at the same time is so clever, isn't it? You know, maybe what she's saying and what she's thinking at the same time. I think there's this idea that she feels like she's not allowed to be the kind of more traditional female figure. She doesn't feel comfortable being that person in LA. And maybe she thinks that by leaving LA and going to a small town, she'll be able to relax and just be herself because it suits her more. I love this one actually. This is so nice. Don't make me be bittersweet. I love those harmonies towards the end. That's really stunning. Yeah, that one really is like my kind of initial reaction to the idea of let me love you like a woman is kind of negative in the sense that it sounds slightly anti-feminist in my like kind of my emotional reaction straight away, because like my idea of, you know, people being men and people being women is that people shouldn't ever feel pressured to be any particular, you know, form of woman. Initially, like that phrase, let me love you like a woman, suggests that she has a specific idea of what a woman is supposed to be. But, you know, as I said, I do believe that every woman should be allowed to live their life in exactly the way they want to. And I think that Lana's saying that now feminism has kind of come to a point where she feels like she is maybe criticized for wanting to be the traditional woman, wanting to be the housewife. And actually, in terms of my core beliefs, I believe that she should be able to be that without criticism. So it's difficult, isn't it? And like, it'd be interesting to hear your opinions on that. like politically it's difficult to kind of reconcile slightly. But I do really identify with the need to be able to be in a place where you can be who you want to be. For me, that is moving to the city. I moved to London so that I wouldn't be judged for being gay, effeminate, all those kinds of things, which, you know, to be frank, I was in my hometown. You know, for me to move to the city, I was getting the same thing that Lana's getting by moving out of the city, you know? So I do relate to her feeling there. Very much. And I think the song itself is actually very beautifully written. Like, looking back at those other albums, it's almost like she's kind of dealing with this idea of who she is as a female, who she is as a woman, and contending with it, and maybe it not gelling with everybody, especially in reaction to stuff like ultraviolence. So it does kind of feel like, having gone through all of that and having learnt so much, this is a very natural progression for where the story of like her journey is. In terms of her self-discovery and her femininity. Let's go on to Wild at Heart, which I correctly noticed samples How to Disappear, Just Saying. I did the assignment, or whatever Americans say. Wild at Heart is next, and this is one of my favourite ones I've listened to quite a lot, so. I love like how this one really subtly uses the mixed Lydia mode. It's very Jack Antonoff.
And it makes me lazy.
Oh, I love this song. Mixolydian. Wild at heart. Actually, no, it's not a subtle use of Mixolydian at all. If you love me, you love me, 'cause I'm wild at heart. This one, yeah, really does continue that story of self-acceptance, isn't it? Like relating to hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me.
Think about leaving.
Yeah. Getting out of the biz. Maybe it's her love and her passion that keeps her making music, you know. Just sounds so grand, doesn't it? I love it. Wild at heart. Oh, I fucking love this song. So beautiful. Those harmonies are stun. So good. It's just so good. It's just so beautifully written. And I love the sentiment of it, you know, if they love me, they love me. Que sera, sera. It doesn't matter, like, if they love me. I can't control whether they love me. But if they do, they'll love me for who I am. They'll love me because I'm wild at heart, because I'm special, because I'm different, because I am emotional. And I think that that is kind of what she was really learning throughout the albums Honeymoon and Last for Life, and then really came to terms with NFR, is that she is an emotional person, and sometimes that takes her to a place that's like, you know, the Sylvia Plath reference, you know, the heights of emotional drama where it can't be tamed, can't be controlled. But like at the end of the day, she is who she is, and if they love me, then they'll love me. You know, I can't control that. But if they do love me, it's going to be because I am being true to who I am. Oh, stunning. Okay, geek mode. So jazz modes are basically like you take the normal key and you change a note in the key, and it gives you this sense of like, it's like a borrowed note, it's like a borrowed chord, and it gives it its different feeling, and you can utilize these like modes into all sorts of different ways. But my favorite one is the Mixolydian mode, and it gives it this sense of like surprise, grandness. It's like, ooh, you know, that is the feeling, and that's what it happens going into this chorus of Wild at Heart. I think that's why I recognised it in How to Disappear, was because it's this unique feeling of a Mixolydian mode. So therefore, if we think about the fact that this is a collaboration with Jack Antonoff, if you listen back to the stuff that he's worked on with other artists, he litters the Mixolydian mode over like all of his collaborations. The most notable being Green Light by Lorde. If you listen to that, like study that, and actually when you then look up the chords and stuff, it has that same sense of grandness. I'm waiting for it, that green light, I want it. It's like and that's in the music. It's in the way, in this borrowed note that he uses. Also, this song is actually very similar in its use of Mixolydian to Gold Rush by Taylor Swift on Evermore, one of my favourite songs on Evermore. I just love this mode. And in a similar way, builds up to this chorus and has this kind of surprise chorus. What must it be like to grow up so beautiful, with your hair falling into place like dominoes? It's that same chord. It's like, it's that. Anyway, geek time over, music theory lesson over. I really appreciate Jack Antonoff. There's something to his sound and his collaborative process that I really appreciate, and I love to kind of replicate it myself, you know? Okay, let's go on to the next song. This is Dark But Just a Game.
It's dark but just a game.
Maybe this is looking back at ultraviolence.
The faces aren't the same. But baby,
I love that dry drum.
to think exceptions to the rule.
The production on this one's sick, actually.
Easy, we're getting high in the
Parking lot. Oh yeah. Oh,
all the time. The
very Beatles movement there.
is dark but just a game.
I love how this song is written. Oh. And the production of it is so clever. It's really creative, isn't it?
It's dark but
And then moves between different keys and stuff. So good. Oh, I really have such a new appreciation for these songs now. You know, now I'm kind of ready to take Lana in, you know.
go down in it.
Thinking back, this is actually kind of a difficult album to listen to if you're not kind of ready for her style. But now I understand. I think it's really nice to like experience these songs again in new context.
Much less the fame. I'll stay.
Maybe I feel like this is her attitude to fame, isn't it? You know.
It's dark but just.
I can't remember what I said before about this song, but I think there is something to do with like the Me Too movement in this, because it does seem to be kind of talking about like her referencing fame, her referencing like the way the world works, it's a tale as old as time, all these kinds of things, and it just being like the price of fame. Like maybe she's like relating her own experiences with fame to that of the other women in the industry. Maybe that's her own coping mechanism, is saying it's just a game, it doesn't affect who I am. I can't let it affect who I am and who I want to be. At the end of the day, it's just fame. It's just, you know, it's not real. Yeah, I'm really appreciating listening to this again. I don't think when I first listened to it, I was kind of ready to receive Lana. I think it was kind of a difficult first listen because it's not typical. And I think if you've only heard like the singles or whatever, it's difficult to reconcile this very kind of slow, meandering pace and interesting creative production and dynamic structure. It's difficult to kind of like take that in when you're not ready to hear it. And I think having now listened to like all of her albums, heard her whole journey, and then really kind of fallen in love with NFR, I think my like readiness to understand, appreciate these songs is totally different, and I really like them much more than I did this time last year. Let's go on to the next song. This is song number 7. This is Not All Who Wander Are Lost.
I've been wearing the same damn clothes for 3 damn days.
Wondering.
You got my name on your tattoo. I think you know the same secrets that I do. Not all those who wander are lost.
Like every single song has a sense of, you know, acceptance for every kind of person on this planet. You know, some people are just nomadic. They love to move around and
Just wanderlust.
they just have wanderlust. You know, it doesn't mean that they're completely lost, does it? I love that clever wordplay between wander are lost and wanderlust. It's
Suddenly does look at you.
gentleman vibes.
Not all those who wander are.
Maybe it's about meeting somebody who has the same opinions and view on that, in that sense, you know.
Just wonder.
I love the subtle guitar. It's not so quiet now, but it was a minute ago.
All those who wander.
I can imagine listening to this song, like maybe on a hike or something. It reminds me of when I travelled in the US, actually. It gives me that sense of like freedom. I wonder who those voices are. Beautiful. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, like, oh, that's actually really weird. Maybe that's why I was thinking of my traveling. When I traveled to Yosemite, the next song, I spent 6 weeks in in California, like going up the coast. I went to Yosemite, thought it was the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. But like the sense of freedom I have when I kind of go traveling like that is just so totally like unparalleled to anything else I've ever done. And doing that, like wandering aimlessly, kind of, such a sense of freedom. But there is this kind of association with people who kind of are nomadic and haven't settled down like that, that there's this idea that they're lost and they're still looking for something. But for me, it wasn't. It was like I'd found something. I'd found a confidence in being myself and just being able to just do it independently. Yeah, so it really does tie into this kind of theme of the album, which is just about like freedom to be who you want to be, whether that's going and settling in one place and never leaving again, or whether that's constantly moving and never settling down again. It's okay. You can be who you want to be without judgment, you know? I think that's kind of really where she's coming from with this album, is this feeling of trying to like fight back against like judgment of lifestyle, you know? And weirdly enough, the next song is actually Yosemite, which is where I went traveling.
Seasons may change, but we won't change.
In a place like Yosemite, the seasons are so instrumental to like how it affects nature.
No more candle in the wind.
She said that twice now, hasn't she? No more candle in the wind. Maybe like threatening to be blown out, but not anymore because the wind has settled, you know.
Breeze on, but we won't change.
There's solidity in who she is.
As the pages of all of the poems we burn make me feel I'm invincible. No more candle in the wind.
You make me feel invincible. Maybe reflecting on how this love that she found with NFR is like really supporting who she is as a person, you know.
We did it for the ride.
Maybe she's talking about her art, you know.
I was thinking television started.
I love how the instrumentation has a sense of this kind of Wild West vibe, which is, you know, very much that area of the country, isn't it?
Till eternity reasons.
Yeah, there's kind of like a sense of strength in her relationship and how she feels so like comfortable who she is with this person, that like it doesn't matter what happens if the winds change, the seasons change, you know, everything, the world changes around them. She's happy just being who she is. She's happy who she is with this person. She's not burning the candle at both ends anymore. She's not at risk of blowing out in the wind. She's not like risking it all. She's just settled and happy. And maybe it's this idea that like somewhere like Yosemite does change with the seasons, but at the end of the day, it's always predictable and always, you know what's going to happen and is always beautiful, you know. This is song number 9. This is Breaking Up Slowly.
Breaking up slowly is a hard thing to do. It's hard to be lonely, but it's the right thing.
Yeah, it's hard to be lonely, but it's the right thing. All the kind of things that go through your head when you're feeling lonely and anxious, you know, I think.
George got arrested out on the lawn. Will he still love me long after I'm gone?
It's more reflections, isn't it? You know, reflecting on past relationships and how it's difficult to kind of ultimately let go of that person.
I love you only, and it's making me blue, but it's the right thing to do.
I definitely like relate to almost like trying to learn through the loneliness, you know, and actually like post breakup, it's important to not go back to them just because you feel lonely in that moment, to kind of sit with it and learn and understand. I'm not completely sold on that song, to be honest. I don't remember being particularly moved by it originally, and yeah, I don't know. It doesn't fit as well. I don't know, like, I don't know whether Lana's broken up with whoever she was with, or I don't know. Let's go on to the next one. This is song number 10. This is Dance Till We Die.
I'm covering Joni and I'm dancing with John.
Oh, I remember this one.
God, it feels good not to be alone.
Appreciating our friends, maybe.
We made a pact in the middle of the night that we won't say
The saxophone, so beautiful.
We won't stop dancing till we die, burdened by the weight of fame.
Maybe like going back to somewhere where, you know, she's not known is kind of the ultimate kind of escape for her. I think in her older albums she talks about going to these beaches all the time, and I think the sense of like the LA beaches is really like an escape for her, but it was always a temporary escape. Whereas now, like, she's moved to the countryside, she has more like ultimate kind of freedom from being famous, you know. No, we won't stop dancing till we die.
I went down a woodside.
I love this bit. Out of city, out of mind. Nice to hear her go into a place that feels like more dancing, you know.
When you used to look like a rolling stone.
That mid late is so good, I love it. Once there, dude, step high and dry.
And we won't stop dancing till we die.
Love it. That's such a positive song for her, isn't it? I think after so many years of this kind of darkness that she kind of like existed in throughout ultraviolence and everything, particularly ultraviolence, you know, and she went through a really difficult stage, I think, kind of discovering herself and feeling okay with herself and her relationships and everything. Now she's kind of free of that. Like, there's so much joy in this album, and this song particularly just feels like she's managed to let go completely and is like happy to just dance and all the way until she dies. Like, she's free, you know. I love that idea, and I love that feeling that that song generates. The middle eight is so good as well. Like, I love how it changes and starts to become this dance. It's really stunning. Love it. Let's listen to the last song. This is For Free with Zella Day and Wise Blood, who I now also know and can pronounce her name correctly because I did the reaction to her Titanic Rising. How far we've come. This is the last song. I love the piano in this one.
I slept last night in a good hotel.
I love this song. This is so beautiful.
In green.
Ugh, lush.
And he played real good. Now me, I play for fortune.
There's a real comparison to like somebody who truly loves music can still find so much love and passion just playing for free. It's like a reminder, it takes them back to its grounding, isn't it?
Play if you've got the money.
Oh, so beautiful. She rarely goes to that place of full power, does she? But when she does, it's so beautiful.
Nobody stopped to hear him. No, he
Recognise this voice now.
so they passed his music by.
Who don't respect this person, even though he's a beautiful musician, you know.
As the signal changed, he was for free.
Beautiful song. God, I love that song. That's so lovely. Just, yeah, so wonderful. I really, really love how that song has this such melodically beautiful dynamic. It kind of just goes, really just crests, doesn't it? And then comes back down for this hook. And I think that, yeah, in terms of like Lana's journey with this song, it really is like a reminder of what it is to love music in its purest form, and how like maybe over the years throughout all these albums that she's now been through, she's kind of maybe got lost in the chase of her career, and then suddenly she notices this person who plays the music but just does it for the love of it, and it reminds her like this is what it's about, you know, and it kind of grounds her. It kind of brings her back to reality, I think, in a way. And I think that is like really emblematic of the whole album, is that like it is bringing her back down to the ground. Like the heights of the drama in NFR are beautiful, but it feels like a real natural progression to bring it home. And I think like her moving away from LA and moving back into the countryside to a small town is kind of the central poetic kind of metaphor in this album, of her bringing it back home, bringing it back to simpler times, bringing it back to who she is at the core of her being. And this song really does sum that feeling up in a really perfect way that kind of ends the album beautifully. I'm so glad I went back and rediscovered this album, because like it really does have so much more nuance to it than I think I really understood originally. And I think like now, having listened to Lana and understood where she's coming from and her entire journey, it really does feel like I am ready to hear and ready to understand the nuance in this. And it's wonderful, wonderful to hear. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a little bit of a different vibe, like doing a reaction to, you know, something I reacted to already. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. Thank you so much to all of my Weeping Wendy's on the pro tier of my Patreon, whose names are on screen now. Thank you so much for all of your support. Like, it really does mean the world to me that you're willing to support me, to allow me to do what I want to do and live my dream. It's really fabulous. So thank you so much. If you do want to check out my Patreon, the link is in the description. You can see all my videos ad-free, and you can also check out uncut versions of my videos, past and present. Yeah, so make sure to check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in to the end of the video. I will see you next week for another video. Cool. Bye. Blom, 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 blom.